They pray 5 times, but don't feel peace. They wear hijab, but fear being judged. They fast in Ramadan and break down the next day. Gen Z Muslims are trying, but something is broken inside. Why? This is not a story of rebellion. It's a story of confusion, exhaustion, and hope, of a generation caught between hashtags and hadith, reels, and revelation. This is a journey through the soul of today's Muslim youth, a generation lost between 2 worlds. Chapter 1. Who are Gen Z Muslims? Born between 1997 and 2012, Gen Z Muslims are the first fully digital generation. Raised in the shadow of 9/11, with Islamophobia in the headlines and Islam erased from classrooms, they came of age in a time of surveillance, suspicion, and split identities. Their childhoods weren't defined by bedtime stories of prophets, but by YouTube autoplay. Their adolescence didn't revolve around Ramadan, but around reels and reposts. TikTok trends shaped their humor. Netflix shaped their worldview. While their grandparents found Islam in simplicity and hardship, Gen Z Muslims are drowning in complexity and comfort. They are global citizens, but religious orphans, connected to everyone, but understood by no one, searching for purpose in a world that monetizes distraction. And though they were born Muslim, many are still searching for Islam. Imagine being told your faith is beautiful, but every time you express it, you're made to feel ugly. A young sister wears her hijab with pride until the stairs on the subway make her question it. A brother avoids parties, but that makes him the buzzkill. In every group chat, they laugh along at jokes that mock their values just to belong. They swipe, scroll, and sin, not out of arrogance, but out of loneliness. This generation isn't rejecting Islam. They're rejecting the version of Islam they've seen. Rigid, harsh, judgmental. They want to fit in, but they also want to be faithful. They're told, you're either fully religious or fully lost. But what about those still on the path? What about those trying? Internal guilt eats away. I know this is haram, but I can't stop. I love Allah, but I feel like a hypocrite. Their hearts ache for the truth, but their identities are torn. For many Gen Z Muslims, Islam feels more like a list of rules than a source of peace. They grew up hearing haram, haram, but not rahmah. They learned how to pray, but never why. Mosques often feel like cold institutions rather than safe spaces. A girl walking in gets stared down for wearing makeup. A boy with tattoos is judged before he even says salam. At home, Islam is tangled with culture. Don't do that, what will people say? But what about what Allah says? Doubts begin to grow. Quiet questions surface. Why doesn't Allah answer my du'as? Why does being Muslim feel so hard? They're afraid to ask, afraid to be shamed, afraid to admit they feel far from the one they're supposed to be closest to. The Quran sits on a shelf, unread, untouched, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to connect. Social media is not just an app. It's a lifestyle. For Gen Z Muslims, it's the first thing they see in the morning and the last thing before they sleep. Dopamine-fueled scrolling, comparison, filters, modesty is mocked, haram is glamorized, music, dating, softcore content, all normalized. The role models, not scholars, but influencers. A scholar gives a khutbah on Friday, but it's a 15-second reel that really influences them. They crave validation. Likes become currency. Aesthetic over akhlaq. Quran time equals 0 minutes. Screen time equals 10 hours. And yet, the soul remains hungry. Deep down, they know this isn't who I want to be, but it's easier to scroll than to change. Beneath the curated smiles lies a storm. Anxiety, depression, addiction to escapism. They turn to music to numb, to screens to distract, to sins to forget. But the ache remains. Mental health is real. But for many Gen Z Muslims, there's no safe place to talk. They fear being labeled, you just need to pray more. Stop overthinking, have tawakkul. But what if they're praying and still struggling? What if they're trying and still breaking? Silence becomes their only friend. Isolation, their only outlet. They whisper in the dark, no one gets me, no one cares, but Allah does. But not all is lost. A quiet revival is blooming. Youth-led podcasts sharing raw, honest reflections. Islamic apps making Quran and du'as accessible. Revert stories going viral, touching hearts worldwide. Imams who listen. Scholars who speak with relevance. Influencers choosing modesty. YouTubers teaching tafsir. Young Muslims are realizing Islam isn't the enemy of peace. It is peace. It's not just haram policing, it's heart healing. Salah isn't a burden, it's a conversation. The Quran isn't outdated, it's alive. And through every struggle, Allah was always there, waiting, calling, loving. It's time to rewrite the narrative. Islam is not the opposite of freedom. It is the path to the truest kind of freedom. Freedom from ego, from sin, from despair. Allah doesn't expect perfection. He asks for sincerity. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to fall, as long as you rise again. We need mentors who guide, not judge. Communities that uplift, not shame. Safe spaces where doubts are addressed with compassion. The way forward is through the Quran, through the Sunnah, through togetherness. A young sister once said, "I thought I was too far from Allah. Then I took one step and He came running to me." That's the journey. That's the return. That's the hope. This generation is struggling, yes, but they are also searching. And when they find Allah, they will shake the world again. They're not lost forever. They're just finding their way back home.